Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk a little bit about small talk and how small talk is kind of this thing that you need to keep practicing in order to get better at it. You're not going to suddenly get good at small talk by watching a load of YouTube videos about small talk. You're not going to get better at small talk by just talking to people on the internet or engaging in comment threads and that kind of thing. That's not going to get you better at small talk. It's not going to get you better at communicating with the outside world. What you need to do in order to get better at communicating with the outside world is to go out there and communicate with the outside world. Go outside and actually talk to people, right? Now I really struggle with this because whenever I'm out and about, right, I realized recently that most of the times that I've been out has been because someone else has sort of dragged me out, right? I'm not generally the person that arranges stuff. I'm the person that kind of gets dragged along to something. I'm the sort of person that ends up getting cornered by that weird guy at the pub and like get your ear chewed off about like Vietnam conspiracy theories or JFK conspiracy theories for half an hour while I'm sat there like sort of eyeing my way out the conversation before I eventually go like, oh, sorry, I need to just go to the bathroom. And then you go to the bathroom and then you try and like make your excuses and just leave. I mean, there's been some times when, like a couple times, you know, say if you're at kind of a low point, where I'm at a social gathering and I kind of just do a bit of an Irish exit, just sort of slip away without saying anything, because I just sort of think, everyone else is so good at small talk. Everyone else is so capable of communicating ideas back and forth and taking turns with the baton of leading a conversation, right? And I can't do that. And yet everyone that watches these videos probably thinks that I can do that, right? Because I can do these stream of consciousness things, which apparently other people can't do, but I don't buy that. I reckon anyone can do this sort of thing, right? And it just kind of got me thinking that, why am I not good at small talk, right? So I asked a few people who are a bit older and wiser than me and all that sort of thing. And all of them said, I was sort of the same when I was your age. I didn't know how to talk to other people, engage in small talk. I only knew how to do the big talk, you know. I only knew how to have deep philosophical conversations, but I wasn't able to bridge between those big philosophical conversations in any meaningful way. So what these people did and had to do was to force themselves out of their comfort zone, to go out there and to talk to people and to force themselves into conversations they didn't really want to have, right? About garbage like the weather or, you know, local news that no one cares about, or, you know, just little things like that no one's really interested in. But we're all talking about it as if we're all interested in it, right? That's one aspect of small talk that you do need to get good at, and it's the most basic, simple aspect, right? It's the stereotype of what small talk is, right? So then it's a case of driving meaningful conversation. And when I say that, the emphasis should be on the word driving rather than the word meaningful communication, because what should be important here is your ability to lead a conversation, right? And I don't mean that in some kind of like domineering sort of way where you need to put your arrogance on display for everyone to see. What I mean simply by it is stop being a listener and start being a talker, right? And I don't mean necessarily all the time, but to have a healthy balance of both, right? So I realized recently when I've been having my realizations that I tend to listen to people rather than talk to people. I'm generally the listener, and I'm very rarely the person that leads the conversation, that steers what we're talking about into the next thing that we're talking about and steers the angle at which we're approaching the topic that we are talking about, right? So for instance, say politics, right? Say there's a policy on, I don't know, nuclear power. There's a bill on nuclear power that's coming in, right? You can either be for it or against it, right? And if someone else is driving this conversation and they don't like nuclear power, right? They're gonna approach it with that viewpoint, right? And because they're driving the conversation, we're now having the conversation from the default stance of nuclear power being bad. However, I think nuclear power is good. So if I'm leading the same conversation, then we're leading it from the default of nuclear power being good. And it's up to the listener to, you know, bring their own ideas to the table that might change that default, right? In the same way that if that other person is leading the conversation about nuclear power being bad and not wanting this bill to pass or whatever, I'm the one that's bringing in the new ideas, right? Because it's an exchange of ideas. However, those exchanges are me giving a thing to another person or another thing giving a thing to me, right? It's not like we are both giving the things at the exact same time, because conversation isn't necessarily equal. There are people that lead conversations most of the time, right? And there are people that listen most of the time. And you do need a balance. And I think as a population, we should strive to be as 50-50 with this as possible. Depending on what you want as well. Some people want to be listeners and some people want to be talkers, right? But I think that we should try and strive for 50-50 in either regard, because what's important is being able to be an active participant in discussion. And if you are just a listener, it's very hard to also drive the conversation in interesting and new ways, in ways that are sort of unique to you, right? In a way that only you can do, because you have your own worldview and thought process and ideology that nobody else shares 100%. Other people might sort of identify with the way that you approach things, or might see, oh yeah, he's really intelligent, she's really intelligent, and she knows sort of like, this about this and that kind of thing, right? But no one has the exact same sort of thing to offer as you do, right, to a conversation. Say if me and friend A and friend B are all having a conversation, right? Swap out friend B for friend C, and suddenly it's a different conversation. Suddenly, even if we're talking about the same thing, it's being approached in a different way. Maybe person C is a bit more dry than person B, right? Or maybe they're a bit more sarcastic, or maybe they're a bit more lively and energetic and humorous and bring like quick wit to things, right? Some people are like that. Some people are more sort of down to earth and dry. It really just depends on, what kind of person you're after. And at the end of the day, with regards to doing small talk and stuff, what's important is to try and figure out what you have to offer, and to keep flexing the muscle of offering that to other people in different circumstances. Sometimes there'll be people that kind of intimidate you. Like sometimes I'm down the pub and there's like an old Gary who is like 70 years old, and he's like wearing me off about, and he's bringing up references to things that I have no fucking clue what he's talking about. It's to the point where like if a tiger could speak English, then we still wouldn't be able to understand him. It's that level of just distinction between culture that I'm looking at and going, what the fuck are you talking about? But he is in his element. He is doing the talking rather than doing the listening. And that old Gary, he might go to talk to someone else and become the listener. It really just depends, right? And with small talk in particular, and with conversation in general, I think what's important is to gain the confidence to say what you want to say without feeling restricted or feeling like you're being held back. Because what I've realised recently is, in my plethora of realisations, is that people prefer enthusiasm to being able to identify with what the person is actually saying. People would rather listen to Johnny No Name talk about Magic the Gathering for 4 hours when he's really enthusiastic about it, rather than, miserable old Michael who just sits there moaning about stuff that, yeah, sure, I agree with everything he's moaning about, but he's just sat there talking about it all like this. He's just talking about it all like this, right? Which one would you prefer? I don't play Magic the Gathering, I don't know anything about it, right? But I would rather listen to that guy talk about Magic the Gathering with the enthusiasm, right, and the drive and the passion that he has about this thing, because it's something that he's interested in, it's something that he cares about, it's something that he's, trying to teach me and trying to discuss with me, right? He's trying to share his world and that kind of thing with me, compared to this like miserable Michael who's just sat there, all the problems in the world. It's like, yeah, I agree, those are all problems, Michael, but shut the fuck up and stop bringing me down, because all I can do in this conversation is go, yeah, oh yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? With the Magic Gathering guy, I can sit there and ask him questions. If I'm the listener in this situation, right? I can ask him questions about, oh, what does that card do? Oh, it does this. How do the white cards work? And how do the blue cards work? Do you have like a different deck for each thing? Is it like you want to make a deck full of white cards, or do you want a mix? Or do you not want a mix, right? I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of those. Put them in the comments. But I'm not sure, right? But he knows them. He knows the answer to these things. And because I'm interested, because of his passion and his enthusiasm, it's the same way grifters are able to make their grifts work, because they are passionate and driven. You never see a monotone grifter out there, right? You never see one that just sits there and goes, guys, can you buy my crypto token, please? It just doesn't happen, because that wouldn't draw anyone in, right? So it's more important to be passionate about something and enthusiastic about something than what that thing actually is, okay? Because you could bore someone to tears about, I don't know, Kingdom Hearts 2, right? I don't know a thing about it, right? And whenever people have spoken to me about it, I don't have a fucking clue, right? But because they're so passionate and engaging with it, I'm all right with it. I can sit and listen to it because I like the way that this person's energy is being portrayed, right? I'd rather that they talk about something that I do care about, obviously, but if I had to pick between the topic at hand or the nature of the enthusiasm of the conversation, I would take the enthusiasm every single time, right? So lately, I've been trying to not care so much about this like back of the head anxiety that I'm boring people or that I'm turning people away by talking about things that they can't relate to or engage with and that kind of thing. And instead, because that energy was just making me more monotone and making me more anxious and making me less able to be enthusiastic and genuine about the things that I care about, right? So instead, I'm just going full pelt, not giving a fuck if they're bored, not giving a shit if they actually care about what I have to offer, because I know that they will, because of the enthusiasm, because that's more important than the thing that I'm actually talking about, right? Why do you think all the most successful politicians are the ones that have the biggest persona and personality, and why people go, oh, I think I'd vote for him because I could hang out with him down the pub, right? It's because that thing works on our human brains on some level that I don't understand, because that's psychology, brain science stuff that I don't understand, right? But it clearly works. And so use that to your advantage. Use the fact that you can take your passions and express them enthusiastically to your advantage, and express those passions to every motherfucker that will listen, right? Even the ones that won't, because the ones that won't, they'll just fuck off and then you don't have to deal with them anymore. And the ones that will, you're gonna have a lot of fun with, because you'll be able to talk about your passions and you'll be able to hear about their passions, right? Rather than the alternative, which is sitting there too scared to reveal your true self to the world for fear of being rejected, which will only lead to you being rejected, because people want you to be passionate, they want you to care, they want you to have some kind of drive about something, anything, rather than just this monotone, miserable little shit that just sits there too scared to engage. So that's my piece done. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have some kind of thoughts about, you know, this general topic, then please leave them in the thing below. You're all the best, you're brilliant people and you're good people. I hope you take the whatever I said in this video to use, to heart, and go and do it, right? Go talk to someone, fuck off now and go talk to some twat in the street about something that you care about. Freak that person out, make them go, oh God, what's that person like? Doesn't matter, because then, you know, if they don't like it, they're never gonna see you again, doesn't matter. But if they did like it, you've made a friend, right? You don't have to literally do that, but you know, you understand what I mean, right? Get out, socialize, engage with the world. It's scary, I know. I don't like you doing it either. I'm an introvert as well, right? But at the end of the day, we do have to do it because we are a social species. That is what we do. We're not fucking snails or leprechauns. We're human beings. And so engage with your fellow man and be passionate about and be comfortable with your passion about the things that you care about, even if you think that they're, I don't know, lame things for nobodies, right? I don't know, I can't talk about this passion because it's too nerdy, or it's too dumb, or it's too basic bitch. Like, I would rather listen to someone genuinely tell me about, I don't know, Big Brother, for instance, right? Than someone who doesn't give a shit about their incredibly psychological and inadvertently, I don't know, intelligent fucking analysis of 1984, right? I'd rather that Big Brother to that Big Brother, even though this Big Brother's more interesting. So I hope that makes some sense. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care and bye-bye. And if nothing else, just ask questions. Do active listening. Look that up. I'm not going to go into what active listening is. I can't be asked.